Shalom friends, welcome to tutorial number 14, learning the Hebrew Alef-Bet. In this tutorial we're going to learn two new characters, the Tet and the Kuf. The first one we're looking at here is what is called the Tet, and it also gets the T pronunciation. But I should say, if you really look into the pronunciation of these letters with respect to their ancient roots, you'll find that there are some differences in these pronunciations with respect to, like, the Tav, which we've already looked at, and the Tet. Sometimes these, depending on the dialect, will have more of a like a Tet, or almost sound like a TH to some degree. And but for the sake of simplicity, we're just gonna keep this simple. With respect to modern Hebrew, pretty much the Tet is just going to be a T pronunciation. The next one is the Kuf, and it also has a pronunciation. I'm going to put a Q here just to differentiate between the K, but similar to the K as well, to the English K. And also the Kuf would, the left hand, the vertical line here comes beneath the page line. The Tet and the Kuf, I guess, they're used quite often. I don't want to give the impression that they're not used that much, but they you typically, you're going to see the Tav being used more often for the T sound, and probably the Kaf for the K sound. But still, there's quite a lot of words with the Tet, the Kuf in them. So for the handwriting script, and for the block script and the handwriting script, they're pretty much pretty easy to identify. The Tet, in this case, you're seeing it kind of coming around like this, and then the Kuf would be kind of like you're drawing a resh, and then a vertical line. And remember, that's got to go beneath the page line. You'll also see the Tet sometimes in the block script written like this, and the Kuf pretty much will look the same all throughout. Something like it really looks like kind of like the English P, but that is a little bit more narrow at the bottom than ideal. But just practice these until you can identify them, reading and writing. For the handwriting script, the Tet is more like it's almost, sometimes it'll almost look like the number 6. You'll see people do like that. The Kuf, very much like you're writing it in the block script, but a little bit more relaxed, kind of like the P. Tet again, and then Kuf, Tet, and Kuf one last time. So we practice these with our vowel marks. For K, we would get the Kuf, and then the Tzeri. Also, the vowel mark will come to the right of this stem that goes beneath the page line there. To would be like this, the colon vav, but you'll also see it reduced sometimes. Ku, the Te with the Segol, Ki, and Te, Yud below, and then Ku again. Oh, I'm sorry. That should have been our. Okay, it's the one we just learned. The little diagonal 3 dots. A common word in Hebrew using the Tet is tov, meaning good, and It'll be the Tov, the Tet, Cholim Vav, and a Vet. And this will be means good. Boker, we'll start with the Bet. Dagesh in the middle. It will have a reduced Cholim Vav. Kuf, it'll have the Segol to the right, and then the Resh. And this will mean morning. So if you put these two together and actually said it this way, Boker Tov, you're actually saying good morning. Shvat is a month in Hebrew, the month of Shvat. Don't confuse this with Shabbat, like the Sabbath. This will have, the Shin will have a Dagesh there. I'm sorry, a silent Shva, a Vet, Chamatz, and I believe this ends with a Tet. If I'm not mistaken. Let me clarify. And that'll be one of the ways you can differentiate it between the month of Shvat versus the actual Shabbat, the Sabbath. So that's correct spelling there. Tevet, I'm sorry, is another month. I have a Tet, Seri, Vet, Seri, and this one will end with the Tav. So a lot of times you'll see the Tet and the Tav together in the same word, and you can learn later on the different pronunciations for them. So both of these are going to be months, Hebrew months from the Hebrew. Talit is, this is, well, you've seen the prayer shawls. They're called a talit. So begin with a tav, patah, lamed, hiddik. You're going to have the yud in there, and then the tet. I believe that's correct as well. Let me double check on that. Sorry about that. Actually, I got that backwards. I thought that looked weird. It's actually going to begin with the, I'm sorry, it begins with the tet. So it's the tet, the patah, lamed, hiddik, yud, and then the final tav. Kore is going to be a kuf. You're going to actually use the Cholim Vav here. Resh, it'll have a Tseri down below, and end with an Alef. And that means to, well, a modern definition would be reads, but you'll see it used in the Bible as well a lot. And I believe, well, Kore or Kra, to call upon, or etc. Talit was just that's what that is. It's a prayer shawl. You've seen the Jews wear this all the time when they pray. And then one last one here is Bevakasha. We'll start out with a bet, silent shva, a vet, a patah, a kuf, a chamatz, shin, and I think that ends with a hey there. And this is like a please. Bevakasha Adonai, like just say, please sir, tell me this or that. There was some other ones I didn't add on here, but I was looking back later on. I thought we'd make a. We had talked about the pay and the fey in the last video, and I was wanting to show you some more words, because I said that, you know, the typically in the middle of a word you'll see the fey being used more than the pay. But there are other words. Mishpat is one of them, which means judgment, or it's a common word in the Hebrew, the offices, the ministers, the judges, etc. It's also common in the Bible. So it would be Mish, Sanshva, mishpat, and this will end with a tit. I believe that's a chamatz there. That, like I said, will mean judgment. And so there was one more I wanted to show you. You could, well, if we use two of them together, katan, meaning little. So let me just put this down below here. This is judgment. Katan would be akuf, tet, and then final nun. That means little. That's a common word. So there's just some ideas with using the kuf and the tet. I will say this: if you're gonna try to spell something in English, or like take an English name, that a Hebrew-speaking person would be unfamiliar with. Let me think of something that has the kuf and the tet in it. In other words, you're better off using the kuf and the tet rather than the tav and the kaf, because a Hebrew-speaking individual will recognize that you're trying to spell an English word using Hebrew characters that they may be unfamiliar with. If you use the other ones, then they might think that you're actually trying to spell a Hebrew word. That's always just a kind of a rule of thumb there. And of course, I can't think of anything at the moment. Well, I'll tell you what I can think of. Patrick. So think of the name like Patrick. Well, that's kind of a, you know, well, I'm going to say it's an uncommon name in Hebrew. It may not be, but if you wanted to try to spell that to an individual in speaks Hebrew, you might put pay, one of the a vowel marks. Instead of using the tav, you'd use the tet, and shva there, silent shva, resh, and then in that with a kuf. That way they would know that looks weird to them. They would say, okay, that's must be an English name. If you did it the other way, like this, and used the tav, and then use the final chaf, that might mean something in Hebrew, or that might look as if you're trying to spell an actual Hebrew word. So there's one more letter that's like this that you can use for the S instead of using the sin that we've looked at so far. So that's the kuf, the tet. We'll pick up in the next video and start finishing this up.